guys, we are back here with another video. Today we are gonna be doing some laps at Bahrain and some of the classic Ferraris and just comparing some of the times with the different cars throughout the years. Apologies for the squeaky chair. Anybody that's watched any of my previous videos knows that this chair is such a headache, but that's the next thing I plan on actually getting for my room is a new chair. So the first car we are doing some laps in here, I believe is the 91. It's 90 or 91 Ferrari. I think it's 91. But it's I love these older cars. Like I really wish in this game they actually had a option to actually do. I know you can do like the championship season where you can do the classic cars, but it kind of just mixes them all together. So you have like cars from the early 90s and then the late 90s and the early 2000s, and it just doesn't really make much sense, or at least for me, because I mean, as you'll see in some of these lap times, especially when I'm running this, well, when I'm not running wide like I am there, but as you'll see, the lap times are very, very different as we go up through different cars. So I just wish that they had the option for like a classic season where if you wanted to have everybody run the 91 car, or you know, the 94, the 98, and you know, I really don't know why they don't have an option like, you know, like that, because obviously everybody loves nostalgia, and I just really feel like that people would really enjoy that. This lap you're seeing right here was the first lap of the day, and it was definitely not a good one. But you know, the practice is important. As the more that I get my laps in, you'll see the times our first time we put up is a 144. Which I mean, even F1 drivers, there's a reason they do multiple days of practice before they go into the qualifying for a race, because I mean, you can do these all day long, because I play these racing games quite a bit, and I'm certainly not the best driver by any means, but I do feel that once I'm actually locked in my zone or whatever, I can do pretty good. I play on about 65 difficulty, which I believe is in the hard range, so you know, I definitely get better with my lap times as we go on. But we're running Bahrain, as I mentioned, just because the first race is this weekend, and it's actually at Bahrain. I might actually do this as like a weekly thing, just running some laps here at the circuit for whatever race they're at. You know, maybe kind of talk about what's happening in the season so far and all of that. So definitely, you know, could get a lot of fun out of that, because I really just enjoy driving these older cars, especially the Ferraris. Obviously, that's my favorite team. So you know, it's just so much fun to be able to drive these cars. I believe the next one is the 86, I believe, which is the first car that Michael Schumacher actually drove for Ferrari. As you see right there, we actually put up a 143.6. I don't remember what our first time was. I know it was the 144, but I don't remember what was after that. So I don't know if we improved by a full second or not, but definitely improvement. These older cars, in my opinion, like, they're obviously not as fast as, like, you know, the cars of today and whatnot, but in my opinion, they just handle so much better, and they feel so much faster, if that makes any sense. I think it's just because of the, you know, the actual engines that they're running and stuff, and the sound that comes off of them. I tried to make sure that you could still hear the engine sounds, because me personally, I just love the sound of these engines, and I'm hoping that I don't I mean, if so, I would just record another one. So, but I think I did a little bit of testing before I actually started recording this, and it wasn't bad. So, hopefully, we shall see. With the first race this weekend, I'm really hoping that Ferrari's new car, which is absolutely gorgeous, by the way. I love how they actually added in the Ferrari logo across the wing that everybody was asking for. They did it last year for, I forget what race it was, but it was actually yellow. It was when they wore like the yellow suits and they had like the yellow part on the car. But on the back wing it said Ferrari in the yellow, and I thought that was just absolutely gorgeous. So I was hoping they were actually going to have it yellow. But the way that they have it now is actually not bad either. It still looks great. So, definitely excited for the first race to see how Ferrari does. I've been keeping an eye on the practice sessions, you know, just kind of see what's what. It's been about what you would expect so far with Ferrari and Red Bull kind of going back and forth, back and forth. So, it's definitely looking like it's going to be more of the same of last year, where Ferrari and Red Bull are the clear-cut favorites, and then I want to say Mercedes is going to be competitive this year, but I know that, you know, they had an engine blow up and whatnot here in practice, so it may not be more of a speed thing. It may be like a reliability thing for Mercedes, but it's definitely going to be interesting to see. I think every F1 fan, even if, like, you know, me, for example, I'm a fan of Ferrari, and I want Ferrari. I would love for Ferrari to win every race, but I think for the overall viewing of the season and actually, like, enjoyment of watching the races as a fan, I would really enjoy if Ferrari, Red Bull, and Mercedes were all competitive, and with Ferrari coming out on top. That would definitely be ideal. So it looks like we're finishing up with the, no, it gave us the 90, and then now we're going to switch to the 96. Actually, no, wow, they don't have the 96, never mind, I guess I was mistaken. So we're actually going to the F2000, the first car that Michael Schumacher won the championship with Ferrari, which would be the start of 5 in a row. I actually really enjoyed driving this car. It actually felt really smooth. As you can see, I do have the Michael Schumacher edition of the game, so of course I'm running the Michael Schumacher helmet. And this car is a lot of fun to drive. It really was. I think the F2004, which is my favorite car of all time, and I mean, in my opinion, and statistically, it has an argument of being the most dominant car of all time, because Hillman Rubens absolutely destroyed the field with that car. It wasn't even it really wasn't even a challenge. I've actually been going back and rewatching those older seasons. I'm actually I think I just finished up the 2002 season, so we're actually about to be on to the 2003, so not quite at that season yet, but I am definitely excited to actually go back and rewatch it, because, you know, even though knowing that it's, you know, basically Ferrari wins every race, it's just still great to see, you know, Michael Schumacher, Ross Brawn, Jean Todt, Rubens Barrichello, basically all of them at the height of their powers, and like just really showing, you know, what Ferrari can be whenever, you know, everything's clicking as it should. You know, basically the opposite of what we saw last year, where we have good drivers and we have a good car, but the team management and the strategy was just so bad that it really leaves a lot of what ifs, because there was a couple races that Charles could have won that they threw away with bad strategy, and then a couple other races that Ferrari, or not Ferrari, but Carlos and Charles seasons. The big thing that really jumps out, obviously Michael and Rubens and all of them are very, very good. But the biggest thing is how everybody seemed to be on the absolute same page about everything. There was no second guessing or anything like that. They had a plan and they executed it and they stuck to those plans. And I mean, we know what happened. I think it was 6 or 7 straight constructor titles in a row, 5 straight world championships. And to be honest, I think the Ferrari run would have went on a lot longer had the FIA not stepped in 2005 and implemented that just absolute horrible tire rule where, you couldn't change your tires or whatever. And I believe it was Ross Brawn himself who even said that they felt that that was intentionally done to slow down Ferrari because they were worried that the popularity of the sport was actually starting to wane a bit because it had just become so predictable. Like, okay, Ferrari's gonna win, and and that's that. They had the best car, the best driver, and so they made that rule. And of course, Ferrari was just not competitive at all. I think it was in the Beyond the Grid episode that Ross Brawn was talking about it, where he said, just a year before, cars that they were lapping, in races were now fighting them on the track and winning against them on the track, and it was all due to the tires, because the Bridgestone tires that Ferrari had, the way they put it, they were high performance but high degradation. So Ferrari, had perfected their strategy of running those tires down, coming in, pitting, throwing on new ones, and then just being able to, pick that speed back up and, build their gap back up. But when they made that rule where, you couldn't change the tires, well then all of a sudden Ferrari were at such a disadvantage. And the rule was horrible. There was no way around it. I mean, it was so horrible that for anybody that's not familiar, that rule only stayed in effect for 1 year, and then they got rid of it. I mean, because it was ridiculous. You can't run Formula 1 cars and put that type of wear on a tire over 50, 60, 70 laps, and one, it's not safe, 2, it's not good for racing. Really, nobody wants to watch that because the car's performance suffers. And then again, you have a team like Ferrari who has been, king of the sport for years. All of a sudden they, are a backmarker team overnight, so it just wasn't good. And obviously Ferrari fans weren't happy about it, but we were happy whenever they changed it. And then the following year, 2006, Ferrari could have very well won. That one again. I mean, Michael was leading the championship after the second round of pit stops in Japan, and it looked like he was going to wrap up the title again. But then, of course, his engine blew, and it went to Fernando Alonso, which I'm not going to go on a long tangent about Fernando Alonso, but I am going to say I do think he is one of, if not the most overrated driver in the history of the sport. I mean, he won the title in 2005 because of, in my opinion, the FIA, they gifted them that title because without that tire rule, they would have never beat Ferrari, and I mean, that's just a fact. And then in 2006, yes, he did do well. Like, I can't take away from the fact that he had to be in position to be able to win when Michael's Ferrari blew up. So yes, he was giving Michael a good run. But again, it's all down to luck because it's not like he just outraced Michael or anything like that. Michael was leading the championship and then the car blew up, so it goes from you're leading the championship, you're about to get the championship points, to now you get 0 points. So it's tough. And it's also tough because as we just switched over to the F2004, I believe, that Ferrari forced Michael out because, they wanted to bring in, Kimi Räikkönen, because Kimi was very good. I love Kimi. He is one of my all-time favorite drivers, but he's not Michael Schumacher. And I do feel that if Michael would have won that title in 2006, that he would have stayed around. And then we know in 2007 that Kimi won the world title, and then in 2008, 2008, it was then Felipe Massa lost it to Lewis Hamilton on like the last turn of the race, because I forget which car it was, but one of the cars blew up, and it actually allowed Lewis to move up. So even though Felipe Massa actually won the race, and I believe it was in Brazil too, his home race, even though Felipe Massa won the race, Lewis had scored enough points to where it would move him ahead in the championship, and he won. So that's another title right there that Ferrari could have won, and I do feel like if it was Michael Schumacher driving that car instead of my voice just cracked there. I should have grabbed me some water before this video. But I do believe that Michael Schumacher would have won that. He would have won that title as well. And then we know Michael's, history in the late '90s with the broken leg and the disqualification. So I'm of the firm believer that yes, Michael Schumacher does have 7 world titles, but he could very easily have 9, 10 world titles, if a couple things just went more in his favor. But that's what ifs. Lewis Hamilton would be an 8-time champion if Michael Massey didn't step in and change that. So you can't really go off what ifs, but it is definitely crazy to think about. And then of course we had Michael come back and drive for Mercedes, which it was cool to see Michael come back. It just sucks to see him come back and be in such an uncompetitive car, especially knowing what Mercedes would become just like a year or two later after he left, which Ross Brawn himself did say that was a direct result of the work that he and Michael did on the car to actually get that car built in that position. So Michael Schumacher did play a huge role in the Mercedes team becoming the powerhouse that they did become. That's according to Ross Brawn himself, so I tend to believe him, but maybe it's just, the Michael Schumacher fan in me. And what's unfortunate is because we almost got to see Michael back in the Ferrari. I believe it was 2010, when Felipe Massa had that horrible accident, that he almost lost his life. It's crazy that he recovered as well as he did, but Michael actually, I always mispronounce Luca de Montezemler, or Montezemler, however you say his name. He actually had said that he and Michael had a meeting that lasted a few hours, and he said he basically told Michael, you have to do this, Ferrari needs you, we need you, Michael. And Michael agreed to it, but the doctor would not clear Michael, because of his accidents that he had in the previous year when he was actually doing motorcycle races. He had crashed and sustained an injury, and the doctor wouldn't clear him. It would have been very interesting to see what that would have looked like, Michael Schumacher in that car. That would have been very, very interesting to see. But again, that's another, what if type scenario. Hold on, let me mute my mic so I can adjust my seat without it absolutely blaring through the microphone. So just a Alrighty, so now we are running the F2007. This car was actually a lot of fun to drive. I'm not a fan of the look though. As you can see, the front wing looks very, very weird in my opinion, and then the back wing is like super weird also. It's like very tiny, as far as what we're accustomed to. It's always interesting to see the different, like when you look at the cars throughout the years, like the different designs and advances they tried to take with the car, just trying to improve any sort of speed on it. So, I mean, you can't, really fault them for trying, but, some cars are definitely better looking than others. Me personally, I think, any of the cars from 2004, about 2004, or from about 98, well, really 96, 97, 98, 99, 2000, really any of those. And it's more like I'm just a big fan of as I mentioned in my previous video, I'm a big fan of the Marlboro sponsorship with Ferrari. I understand why that the Marlboro and tobacco and, alcohol sponsorships are no longer, wanted because they don't want to present that image. They want to have a cleaner, more family-friendly, image, which is fine. I can totally understand that. There's probably more money in it, but it's just me as a fan, because when you look at so many years throughout F1 history, so many of the classic cars and drivers, that they were all like sponsored by Marlboro or like the West McLarens, the Rothmans. It's just so many different classic liveries that I wish the teams actually could still run, or at least pay homage to, but they can't, obviously, because just not allowed. But and I'm sure 20 years from now they'll be saying, "Oh man, I wish they had the cars they had 20 years ago." So probably in 2000 they were saying the same thing. "Oh, I wish it was the cars 20 years ago." I mean, that's really with anything, with any sport. The previous era thinks that their era was the best, and the fans that grew up watching that era are always going to think that it's better than the new one. So I can totally understand that, but just me personally, I'm such a fan. That's why really anytime that I play any of these games, I actually will use mods. Like this game, for example, I actually have it modded for the 1998 season. So, if I actually was to go and just try to use one of the regular cars, it's not the 2020 cars, it's the 98, and which is a lot of fun for, the season mode and stuff like that, getting to race against, Michael Schumacher, miggy, and David Coulthard, a lot of some of my favorite drivers from that time. So it's a lot of fun. The 2014 game is also one of my favorites, just because of all of the different mods that they have available in that game. I think I have like let me actually bring up my folder here on my desktop, because I actually have quite a bit of them. So yeah, so I have a mod for the 1980 season, the 1985 season, the 95 season, the 99 season, the 2003 season, and the 2005 season. So that could be something for, like a future video as well. Maybe starting one of the classic seasons and kind of going through that. That could be a lot of fun, because I like I said, mentioned at the beginning of the video, I just love these classic cars and just driving them, the look of them, the feel of them, the sound. It's just so much fun. A car that actually I really, really enjoy, my all-time favorite car that's not a Ferrari, is the McLaren MP4 that was famously driven by Ayrton Senna and Alan Prost. That car is just absolutely gorgeous. gorgeous, and they have a couple of them here in this game. So I may actually have to break those out sometime. So this is the last Ferrari, which is, as you can see, the 2004 Ferrari up until this one, which I believe we actually beat the time with the 2010, but the 2004 was actually faster than the 2007, which is not really a surprise. Like I said, that 2004 car is just an absolute monster. As you see right there, they invalidated my time. It's so weird. Anytime I like jump in, I don't know what it is with my steering wheel, but anytime I like first jump in where the game has control and then it gives you control, for whatever reason, I don't know why, I can be holding up my steering wheel completely straight, and for whatever reason it'll still want to, like, you know, kind of like jerk it to the side a bit. So that's why you know, keep seeing whenever I first switch the cars, it kind of like jerks it to the side, and then I have to like kind of correct it. My laps, again, these laps haven't really been the best, but you know, it's not like I'm out here trying to set a world record or anything like that. When I was doing the screen capture, I wish I would have paid attention and realized that my mouse was sitting on the screen the whole time. I would have moved it just as, like, I don't know, it's not really impacting anything, but it's more of just like a pet peeve of mine that I'm like, oh, that would have been so easy to just not have in the video. So you live and you learn for the future. If any of you guys are, you know, fans of this game, or really any of the other games or whatever, and you think that you kind of got some tips as far as watching my laps that you think could maybe help me improve or whatever, certainly don't hesitate to let me know. Like, I'm always trying to get better, because I would love to be able to eventually be able to get to the point where I could play on the hardest difficulty. Now, I'm nowhere close to that at the moment, because like I said, I only play on about 65, and I think it goes up to like 110. So definitely a lot of ways to go, but any feedback, advice, anything like that on my laps are definitely appreciated. Also, let me know what you guys think is going to happen in this weekend's race. What do you guys think is going to win or anything like that? Me personally, I would love to see Charles Leclerc or Carlos Sainz win the race with either of the other one right there behind them for a 1-2 finish. But more realistically, I think it's really going to be tough to beat Max Verstappen. He is, at this point, he seems to be the best driver in the world, and it's not even close because he's so consistent now. I know there used to be the jokes, you know, crash stopping and you know, just everything about, you know, him, you know, crashing and whatnot, but I mean, he's been so solid these last 2 years, and he really reminds me of Michael in the way of how dedicated he is. I saw that he told Red Bull that he was still going to do all of his sim work. He didn't want Danny Ricciardo doing any of his sim work. He still wanted to do that. I know during the off season he was doing Le Mans online races in like a league that's very competitive, and he did very well in that, obviously. And then he also had a simulator installed on his private jet, so when they're flying from city to city or, you know, country to country, wherever it may be, he's still able to practice and stay sharp, and you know, that type of dedication, you know, where some of these other guys, you know, I know they all spend a lot of time in the simulators and stuff, but you know, I don't know if there's anybody else on the grid, or at least nobody else that I've heard of, that, you know, had a simulator installed in their private jet just because they wanted to be able to practice more. You know, so when you have a guy that's already considered the best in the world at what they do, and then they're willing to put in the work on top of that day in and day out to keep improving that, which is exactly what Michael did. You can listen to anybody, Ross Braun, Jean Dot, like really anybody that worked with Michael. They would say that even as a 7-time world champion, he still had the same work ethic and drive and determination as he did, before he had any world titles. It's just one of those things that, that's what really separates you from anybody else. So I think this is the end of the session. So we're just going to go ahead and replay the fastest lap, which as you can see it was at 133.9. So go ahead and replay this last lap. See that rear wing on the car, look how tiny that thing is. And then I really don't like the whole back of the car at all, like the way it's connected with the whole shark fin looking thing. That's really the only way that I can describe it. It looks like a shark fin. It's just not really a fan of that. Like, I really wish the cars today did not have the halo. Well, let's say that I enjoy the halo. Like, the halo is a great thing. Like, it saves lives. So I understand why it is in the sport. I have no problem with it being there, but just from an overall look of the cars, if the cars today didn't have the halo, I think they would be up there with some of the best looking cars of all time. Because the new Ferrari, for example, that car is absolutely gorgeous. So coming around here for the last bit of the lap, I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I am going to be filming the next episode of the Motorsport Manager here later tonight. So I hope you guys are enjoying that. Let me know again any comments. I try to respond. I will respond to all of them because there's just so few of them. But I love the interaction. I love talking with you guys about anything in my videos. So definitely reach out. But with that, I hope you guys have a wonderful night, and I will see you guys next time.